And I also felt that we were the stronger ones because they were the ones scared of us. It's our words, it's our photographs that scared them, which is why they had to resort to such extreme situations. And I felt while we had that strength, we would play to it. I'm Shahidul Alam, a photographer and a writer. I live and work in Bangladesh, but I see myself as someone committed to social justice, and I do what I do to that end. I got into photography because I believed that a better world was possible, because I believed in social justice. And I came from a very different profession. I took on photography because I realized I had such a powerful tool in my hands. And that has continued to be the case. So, and that is a question I constantly ask myself. It's not the photograph itself, but what it is able to achieve, and what I, as a photojournalist, am able to do for the greater public good. That is how I judge my own actions, and that is how I try to work out whether I'm on the right track or not. I don't know if there is a specific photograph as such, because it's more the body of work that I'm concerned about, because individual photographs, of course, make a difference, but in the end, it is about what you can achieve through your work. And individual works win awards, are known, become icons, but for me, what is far more important is what the photographs achieve. And to that extent, it's the body of work that I've been doing over a long time on the struggle for democracy. That is significant because it matters to me. Democracy is crucial, but also the reason I got into photography was because of issues of social justice, and the concept of democracy is so central to that. The camera I don't have, sadly, for very practical reasons. One evolves, one changes. I was a poor student, and you weren't able to afford to have multiple cameras, so you had to swap one for the other when change was needed. It would have been nice to have had it now, but I think it would have been a luxury at that time. However, for me, the camera is not really that important. I think one of the problems in the industry is that too much importance is given to equipment, what camera you have, what lens you have, what resolution you have. I think these are things largely created by manufacturers who want to sell equipment. As far as the journalist is concerned, as far as the photographer is concerned, it's what you do with the equipment that you have. I use my mobile phone quite a lot these days, which are perfectly fine cameras. But at the end of the day, the best camera is the one that you have with you. I think ensuring that you provide dignity to the people you're working with is central to what you do. There are ways through which you can engage with people to ensure that their dignity is given importance. It also has to do with issues of class, issues of advantage, issues of privilege. I recognize that I happen to be of middle class origin, and therefore in many situations when I'm photographing people who are disadvantaged, who are not as privileged as I am, I think the challenge really is ensuring that the story gives enough space. And one of the questions I constantly ask myself is, would I be comfortable being portrayed in the manner in which I'm trying to portray the person in front of me? And provided you can answer that question honestly, provided you're actually comfortable with that engagement, provided that relationship is not exploitatory, I think you're on the right track. The world is made up of a lot of people. If you look at power structures at the moment, it is very much located in Western countries, what are called Western countries. Yet in their rhetoric, they talk about democracy and freedom. And I want to remind them that the farmer in the field in Bangladesh never chose them to be represented. And when they make decisions which affects the farmer in the field, what has never been taken into account is the interest of the farmer. It is generally the interest of the powerful elite, the corporates, that get taken into account. And since they use the term democracy, I want to remind them that we happen to be the majority of humankind. And I think it is about time we turn the tables around. And rather than known for what we lack, remind the world that this is who we are. We happen to be the majority of humankind, and we have a right to be represented, for our values and our interests to be taken into account. And I want to be known for what we are rather than what we are not. There has certainly been a shift. The shift is not merely because of what we've done, but also because of circumstances. Internet has made a difference because we now have access that we did not have before. Cost has made a difference because the media is now far more cost conscious, so it's expensive to send Western photographers overseas to do stories. But those are the realities. Whether we've taken enough advantage of that is what is important. I think it is worth asking ourselves the question, in that process, have we become merely surrogate Western journalists by providing them the stories that they want at a more cost-effective way? I think where our success should be evaluated is on the basis of whether the stories are different, whether we've said something else, whether it's a different viewpoint we're putting on the table, and whether through our work we're able to challenge the Western hegemony. I think the most important thing for us to do is to look at the power structures that exist. I think definitions, majority world was one term you used, but you look at the word terrorist, you look at the word freedom fighter, you look at the words freedom and democracy, the way they're being used and abused. At the moment, it's important to recognize that the current global situation has exposed the hypocrisy of the West to such an effect, particularly Western media. It's laid bare today when you look at how Palestine is represented, how issues of justice are completely turned around, when Ukraine is presented in a very different way from the way Palestine is represented, when the fact that a nation like Israel can get away with blatantly abusing international law and norms at every level, yet Western governments have been completely complicit in the genocide that is going on. It is worth remembering that they no longer hold the moral ground. And I think it is up to us to challenge that space. It is up to us to reclaim the space that we have. And at some point, we need to ensure that our voice is heard and that we are on the right side of history. First, I must define truth, because it is a contested term. There is this assumption that it is an absolute. There are many truths, I think, certainly in terms of how one interprets things, how word is used, how terminology and lexicon is branded, and it is generally presented that a set of Western values is the ultimate truth. I think those should be questioned in the beginning, because those value systems are very much structured towards protecting the interests of the powerful elite, and we need to be able to question that. While I was in jail, certainly there were times when I was very concerned. When I was picked up, I didn't know if that was going to be the end, because I know what it has been for others. But I didn't see myself as a single person. I saw myself as a part of my community. And while I was in jail, that was very much in my mind. I remembered that I represented an entity which was an extension of the bigger solidarity that was around me. One of the things I'd been asked to do was to capitulate, to remain silent, and my freedom in exchange would be on offer. It was something I could turn down because I knew that I was not making the decision for myself, but I was making a decision for my collective. And I also felt that we were the stronger ones because they were the ones scared of us. It's our words, it's our photographs that scared them, which is why they had to resort to such extreme situations. And I felt while we had that strength, we would play to it. And I think that's been vindicated in the sense that today, through the revolution, through the uprising, the dictator is gone, and it's a people's strength that has now held sway. One of the biggest assets a journalist can have is credibility. There are things with the advent of digital photography or Photoshop, the authenticity of the photograph itself has been questioned, whether it is valid or not. Today with AI, it is even more so. I actually think it's an advantage because in the sense, it takes away the onus of validation from the image to the author. And whether you're believed or not will depend upon your track record, your integrity, whether over time you have been able to gain the trust of people. And I think that is how it should be. And in the end, if trust is what you're able to establish, if trust is what you've gained, then that is the strongest weapon because your words are believed not because of the words themselves, but because they've come from you. Your photographs will be believed not because of what the image is, but because the source is you. And it is that credibility, that honesty, that integrity, that track record that speaks for itself. And that is how it should be. Courage is not something that can be replaced. But there I will perhaps question the way courage has been defined. I don't see courage as facing bullets as the only courage. I think a far bigger courage is in recognizing your own faults, being self-critical, and questioning, and ensuring that what you're saying stands up to scrutiny. That is where we often fail. Often in our beliefs, in our ideals, we forget those core values of journalism. The fact that critical thinking is essential, the fact that you need to be able to withstand it being questioned and scrutinized, and the fact that you, in the end, are a journalist who has to stand by the very rules you set for others, and that the rules you set for others need also to apply to yourself.